Hello, my lovely collective. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I hope that y'all are doing well. Whew, you guys, it is so windy and cold outside. We took the dogs for a walk and it was like, ah! I hope that y'all are doing well. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Okay, so collective, we have the Shadow and the Mentor, the Mystic and Kairos, the Forest and the Ring. I feel like this sense of like somebody, like, I just feel like this, like you held my hand through the shadow, through my shadow. Like you pulled me through. I don't know. I just feel like there's like this sense of like gratitude, you know, of like, I just feel like on God, I do not know how I would have done that without you. You know what I mean? Like, I just like, I want to cry. And I know that there are people in my life that I feel that way about 100. You know what I mean? Where there are just those people where you're like, if you would not have seen me when you did, I would not still be here today. You know what I mean? Like, if you had not showed up in the way that you showed up, like, my life would not be what it is today, you know? And I think of the many blessings in my life that I've received along the way from people who I just have so much gratitude for. That's what this feels like. It feels like a gratitude of like, if you had not been there for me in that moment in time, in that way, I just kind of feel like this, nobody could get through to me like you got through to me. And thank you for that. You know, I love that. Part of that, I think, is this, just this consistent, I want to say like a consistent seeing, right? Like you never lost sight of me. You know, like I think of my dad, honestly, and you know, the man's known me since I was like 7 years old or 6 years old, and was like the one person in my life who always gave me this space, even if I was irritating him, even if he had to bitch about me after. He still gave me the space to be me in my boisterous, sassy, you know what I mean? Like challenging ways. You know, because he also knew that I was sweet and I was considerate and I loved, and you know what I mean? Like he saw all of me. And so he allowed for that space for all of me. You know, and and when you experience that in life, it becomes the greatest gift that you can give another human being, is to like see them for all of what they are and to offer them that space and to be there along the way. Because that's the thing with a mentor, with somebody who's guiding you, like, you don't want to overstep boundaries. You don't, like, I'm not trying to make you take on my personality, right? Like if I'm mentoring someone, I don't want you to be me. I want you to be the best version of you. And I want to show you what it looks like to attempt to be the best version of you by being the best version of me, right? A mentor guides. A mentor does not dictate. A mentor does not say to you, this is what you need to do and this is why you need to do it. You know, they say, well, how does that make you feel? And why do you want to go in that direction? And, you know, does that align with all of the parts of you? And you know all of the parts of you because I know all of the parts of you because we've allowed for space for that, right? It just feels so safe to me. And I think that this sense of security is what inspires you, almost, is what I want to say, to move in a direction that you haven't gone in before. Because there is that like when you feel empowered with the people in your life, you slowly become limitless. You know what I mean? Like there are more things that you can do. There are more challenges that you can take on. Your world opens up and expands. And I just feel like your world is opening up and it's expanding because there's somebody who's been there with you, who's just seen you through all of the many versions of you and loved you through all of it and guided you through all of it. You know, just like so loving. I'm loving this energy. Okay, collective. Okay. We have the Devil, Temperance, Queen of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, and Nine of Wands. Well, again, just that like seeing what it is that needs to be done away with, you know, like guiding somebody allows people an opportunity to go down the wrong path and make the right decision. Because demanding things of people is saying, you have to know what's right now, and these are the reasons why, and never take into account any of the like added things that are going on in anybody's life at any given time, right? Like the way that they were raised, the voices in their, you know what I mean? Like if they're trying to overcome somebody who's, you know, like hateful and speaks nasty over them all the time, and so they're attracting people who do that, and that's a lesson that they're trying to learn. Like that's not an easy lesson to learn, right? And you got to cut through that shit, and it's thick and it's gnarly, and it's not one of those things where you're like, well, you can just see that it is what it is and now it just magically disappears. No, that's just not how life works. You know what I mean? And I just get this feeling of like, again, going back to that gratitude of like somebody who was like, I'm not gonna, like, you gotta cut your shit. That's your shit. You know what I mean? Like that's your journey and you gotta do that. But like, I will be alongside you going through my own, saying like throwing some ideas at you. You know what I mean? Well, maybe you ought to try that. You know what I mean? Why don't you try this? How does that, like, what plays out there? How did that make you feel? Okay, that didn't work. Okay, well then try that way, and then like see how that makes you feel, and like get to where it is that you need to be according to who you are and according to what your spirit says, not mine, yours, right? You can be on either side of the story, so take what resonates and leave the rest. But again, I just think that like when you're allowed a space to just be honest, there's a lot more balance and a new beginning, you know, that I feel like you're committed to it because you feel safe in it. I don't know. There's just a sense of commitment with the ring. The ring is never ending, never beginning. The forest is paths not yet traversed, but you know, like the kind of the flip side of that is like mind your surroundings. Like there are friends and enemies alike in the forest. And I feel like there is a sense of like avoiding the forest because you don't want to do that by yourself. You're like, I've already did all of this by myself, and now that's even bigger and even harder. Like I can't do more by myself. I barely made it out of that alive. You know what I mean? And that hesitance that you experience because of that like overwhelming feeling of like, if I would have known that was going to be, you know, like everything that it was, I never would have done that. I never would have done it, you know? And yet, if I never would have done that, I never would be ready to take on that next thing in life. And I think that in and of itself is like horrifying and overwhelming for a lot of us. You know, like, okay, I gotta stop for a second and I gotta breathe, you know, like I gotta settle into these things. And I think that you've just had somebody who's been there with you, who's just kind of like, they haven't pushed you. You know what I mean? They've let you take your journey. They've let you take your path. And I say let, and I don't mean let because that feels like it's permissive. And nobody has any place to give you permission to experience your life. That's a very absurd mentality. And yet, you know, like, if you bring in the element of a mentor, there is a sense of like, what type of mentor is that? Because there are people who will come into your life who will want to dictate to you exactly what you need to do, exactly how you need to do it, and who you need to talk to, and why you need to talk to them. And you know what I mean? And like, you could be like, my soul is screaming no in every direction, but they don't care because it's not about your journey. And then you're going to have people who come into your life who are like, well, okay, so like trust your body, trust your soul, trust your spirit, trust your intuition, you know, like develop that trust along the way, and I will bear witness. And as I bear witness, you have that, I just feel like that documentation, you know, because sometimes we need to document. Like I think of one of my friends And he was like one of my very best friends for like a decade. I met him in college, and we were both lit majors and smokers, and so like we would go out on breaks and we became like immediate friends. And he was transitioning female to male, and I was going through a massive divorce and losing my religion and everything that I identified with. So we were both losing our identities at the same time. And as he was transitioning, you know, like he would take pictures along the way. So there's like a solid decade of my life where I am documented growing up, and evolving and changing, you know, like with my best friend. And I think of that right now because I just get this sense of like, because that's what this feels like. This feels like somebody who's just like holding your hand and documenting along with you. Like, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. That is a you thing, 110. But I will be here with you to watch you every single step of the way, so that when you look back at it all, you're not looking back at it alone. And there's that sense of commitment. And I think that strength and honesty that's sending you in a new direction, that comes with a great deal of balance. Whew, collective. I love this. This is beautiful. Okay, Ace of Cups, Knight of Cups, the Moon, and a card that I can't see yet. Oh, okay. The Three of Swords, the Two of Cups, the Hanged Man, the Knight of Cups. You know, there is a sense though of like, I don't know, because there's an idea of holding on to something and it hurts, and there's an idea of a relationship. And the Two of Cups in this deck is kind of the idea of like two people who've been separated who know that they'll come back together again, but be just like longing for one another. And this kind of is that idea of like holding on to that idea, even though it's not really, like, it's just hurting you. It's not bringing any joy to your life. You just kind of feel like you're missing out all of the time. And I get the feeling of there being a sense that like intuitively knowing, because here's another thing, and people don't talk about this very often, but like a good mentor also doesn't feel the need to take up a lot of space in your life, because you are understanding your truth. And if your truth was like in holding on to something, you need to understand why you're going to let that go. And you need to you need to have that relationship with that experience in your life. And that's what we're doing a lot of times when we're healing, when we're understanding, when we're falling. We are building a relationship with an experience of life. And I think that there was a focus on a separation that now feels like the focus is more drawn into the idea of the experience of life rather than like the necessity of another human being. I feel like in a way there is a tie, like a codependency cord that's being cut for a lot of people right now. And I love that, because you don't want to exist in codependent relationships. You want relationships where you can breathe, and where you can be freely who you are, and where you can be seen for who you are and loved for who you are, and someone who loves you enough to say, I will bear witness to you, and I will trust in your ability to make good life decisions, and I will watch you. And if you're falling, I'll be like, hey, did you think about this? Or I will be that person who you come home to and you just can set it all down. You know what I mean? That's that energy. Because it's like wish fulfillment. It's community. It's partnership and newness. You know what I mean? It feels safe. It feels cozy. It feels like I can take on all of those things because I'm not constantly taking on everything and everyone, because the people in my life demand it of me. You know, like, you don't want those people in your life, period, end of story. Okay, collective. I'm so in love with this energy. Okay. The Devil. The Devil came out twice. But there aren't a lot of people in this world who are willing to walk us through or bear witness to us when we are crumbling and falling. You know, again, like to go back to Jules, I just kind of think like my Juju bean, that's what I always called him. But you know, like when I found out that I lost custody of the boys because I was going to be going to grad school and Kyle was the more stable of us financially, that I couldn't exist, you know? So like I just went over there and you know, like I sat between my two best friends and we watched this absurd show and, you know, just like existed in life without existing in life. And that was the only way that I was going to survive that moment in time, you know? And it was everything that I needed, and it was such a blessing in my life. And I just feel that level of gratitude of like, through all of the darkness, through all of the manipulation, through all of the things, like you bore witness to me, and you never told me what I had to do. You never told me who I had to be. You just gave me the space to heal. And like, thank you so much for that. You know, like me to my dad, me to my friends, you know, like I feel like so, I just feel like blessed to tears. Okay. It's an amazing energy, y'all. I'm so happy for this. I hope that this video gets lots of views and lots of resonations. Okay. Collective. The box, the crone, and the womb. You know, I really do think that there's just this idea of like when you go through a whole lot of bad, sometimes the good that you find is in the people who like held it down for you along the way. I have a list of people in real life who have just been like angels at certain points in times in my life. And I've got a long list of people who like, I literally would not be where I am today if it were not for these people. And they're like obscene love and kindness, you know, and generosity. And I just kind of feel like you've gleaned a lot of treasure along the way. And now you're ready to just like develop it and grow it in like a safe environment with a safe community with people who aren't trying to control you, who don't low-key desire to manipulate you with this like underlying energy of like, but the second I get a chance, I'm gonna sink my claws into you. You know what I mean? It's like, no, that energy is not present. Like those people aren't here. I feel so protected in this golden bubble of energy right now. And I feel like collectively, like that is a feel for those of us who are so very blessed. And if this does resonate with you, please give me a like, share, and subscribe. Share with me your stories. You guys have been sharing more and more, and I'm so grateful for it. And I feel so blessed by it. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your shares. Thank you for your likes and your comments and your support in general. You have no idea how much this means to me. That being said, thank you so much, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye.